welcome to the Thursday Taylor Treasures Talk Show.
Hello,
guys. So I know we were on a break for a while.
We're back.
We're finally back, yes. And we thought, what better way to start off the show again after our break than to have location manager Joe Stargensky back on the show.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's do this again.
All right. So, as I said, he's a location manager, which pretty much means that he looks for all the locations for TV shows and movies that he works on, so they can film at those sites. It's any scene that's not filmed on like a soundstage, which is like a green screen room. And so you said today you're going to just talk about kind of the process of being a location manager and specifically working on Castle Rock. Is that what you're going to be talking about?
Yeah. So I might repeat some of the things I did on our last podcast, but what I thought I'd do is tell you everything I do from the day I start my job until the first day I'm filming.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So it might go back and forth a little bit, but I'll tell you the little genesis of how Castle Rock came about, and then when I was hired, what I did from the first day I was hired and until we started shooting.
Sounds perfect. Yeah.
So I'll give you some genesis first. In that Castle Rock, I think the story is that Castle Rock is there's three entities that are put together for Castle Rock. There's Warner Brothers, there's Bad Robot, which is the production company, that's J.J. Abrams' company, and then Warner Brothers and Bad Robot are doing a show for Hulu. And I don't know who owns Hulu. I don't know if Warner Brothers did or whatever. But anyway, so there's three entities that were putting together this show, and I think J.J. Abrams' company put out this teaser trailer. There was no footage shot yet or anything like that. He put out this teaser trailer for it for a Castle Rock show, and usually when you do a show they do a pilot and they see if they like the show, and then they'll ask for 10 episodes or 12 or whatever they do. The model now is for 10 episodes usually on a streaming show. On a network show it's 24 episodes or 21. So they got so many clicks on this trailer that they just said, let's do 10 episodes. Okay. So once they say that, before I'm on the show, is they have to find a place to do their show. This is any show. They have to find a place to do it. Right. And there are incentive cities, like Pittsburgh is one, New Orleans, Boston, California has them. They go to all these places to find the things they need to do their show. So for this show, their biggest thing is we need to find a town. And I know you watched it, Lucia. So
yes, yeah, first season I did.
And I watched some too.
And did you watch it too?
Yeah, I've seen not all of them, but I've seen some episodes. So
the big part of the show was the defunct mill town. It's a dilapidated town that's old and all. So other shows, I worked on, they said, hey, we need a school, we need an office building, we need this and this and this. For this one, they needed this town. So they did a search, and I know they went to Atlanta. I know they went to Maine, where it takes place. I think they might have went to Toronto and a few other places, but they picked Massachusetts. Okay. So they found a town. Is
there a specific reason why they picked Massachusetts? Is it they just liked it the best?
A show is broken down into showrunners, who have to answer to the studio. So they go out and they, their vision of what this town should be, and they couldn't find it, and they couldn't find it in Massachusetts either. And the scout who actually worked on the show with me, they find a scout from wherever they go. So they find someone in Maine who can go scout for them and stuff like that. So this guy Alex, who took them, they didn't like anything in Massachusetts, and it was like their last day in town, and he said, you know what? He grew up in Massachusetts. He said, there's this town, we used to go visit my relatives, and I just drove through this little town. I'm going to go to that town. And they loved it. And they said, this is it. This is Castle Rock. And they picked Massachusetts. So I was actually on Mindhunter, And I was waiting for the second season of Mindhunter, and I got a call that said, we don't want to do Mindhunter in the winter, so we're not coming back in May, and we're doing it in January. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm out of a job for 7 months or 8 months or whatever it is. And that next day, I got a phone call and someone said they suggested me for a job in Massachusetts. And they said, it's a J.J. Abrams job. And they told me it was, and they didn't know what it was. So they had these people call me, and we talked over 2 weeks. The producers called me, and this was May of 2017. So the second week of May or third week, no, it was the second week of May, they flew me out to Massachusetts in a little town called Devens, which is about 50 minutes outside of Boston, to the west of Boston. But they have a studio there called New England Studios. So they flew me out, put me in a hotel, and they said, no one is there yet. We don't even have offices. We're opening after Memorial Day. They said, here's the town. It's the town of Orange, which is, you can look at it online. There's all these pictures from our filming that online from there. It was a town of Orange, Massachusetts, which was an hour away from our studio. So it was almost 2 hours away from Boston.
Yeah.
Which is, when you do a show, there's a boundary line. There's a 30-mile radius where from your studio, all the unions say, past 30 miles, you have to put people up and pay them gas or, a certain amount of money after 30 travel money after 30 miles. So from our stages, it was more than 30 miles. From Boston, it was a lot. But our crew, the reason I got the job, first of all, it was the first TV show in Boston in 30 years. So so it was I think it was a Spencer for Hire or something. It was like 33 years or something like that. And a lot of people in Boston do movies, so they live around the city, and that's where they live, and that's where they do all these shows. And movie making and TV making are two very different styles. TV shows being made, it's ruthless, and to put it in perspective, when we do about 7 to 10 days for an hour show on a streaming service, movies do a 2-hour movie in 60 to 100 days.
I've always thought about that. Yeah. It's a lot more packed in.
Yeah. So there's a pace in TV, and I'm not saying movies are easier. Movies give you more time most of the time
to get it done.
To get it done. I mean, things don't change. In TV, it's what I'm going to talk about is, I was on the show. So I started in the middle of May, and our first day of shooting was July 31st, I think, or 30th, it'll say. So I usually get about 12 weeks to set this all up. So I went out there all by myself, and they said, here's the town of Orange. So start knowing the roads, start
figure it out,
to know your way around.
Fun, yeah.
And they said, and we need a Victorian house, and right next to it, another Victorian house, because the story is about these two kids who have grown up together, and they live right close to each other, and they have this, nighttime, they talk across the way and to each other. So I said, okay. So for like 2 weeks, there was no one there. There was no producer. There was no production designer. And the people I work with are producers, and the production designer is kind of the king. He makes the look of the show. He kind of draws out and plans the whole look of the show with the directors and the showrunners. So no one was there. There was not even a script. And so I just went out for a few weeks and started looking, and they said, okay. And also you can they go, nobody has done TV in Boston. And I said, well, I want to bring someone to assist me who knows TV, because it's a very different pace. It's very different. And a lot of people go, yeah, TV, and then they quit because it's
Oh yeah.
it's kind of a ruthless schedule.
Yeah.
So I started making calls. I started put together my team. I mean, not knowing anything. And one of the producers was from Massachusetts, and he said, "Hey, here's a list of people that you can call that I worked with here before if you want on your team." He goes, "I'm not going to tell you, who to pick. Some are my friends, but I'm not going to tell you who they are. You pick who you want for your team."
That's helpful.
So I went around, and what I do usually is, in the town of Orange, they knew that Castle Rock was interested, so they hired a film liaison to be in charge of us, because people at the town hall, they don't know filming and stuff and what it entails. So I will go to the town hall and I will introduce myself and say, I'm going to be working on Castle Rock. You'll be seeing me a lot. I'm here to look around. Is there places that, you want to show me? They took me around sometimes. So that Victorian house I found, which I have a story, which I won't tell now because you might not understand it, but I'll tell it in a bit. So the first thing I found was that Victorian house that's in the show, but it didn't match what they wanted.
Oh.
So I shot it, and I was so excited about it, and I kind of left, and I went, "Oh my God, there's no house next to it." So,
Right. Yeah.
but I didn't have any leadership. Usually a production designer will say, "Here's what I'm looking for this house. I want this, I want that, I want it brick, whatever it is, stucco or Victorian or craftsman." They'll have all these things, or I need a yard behind it, and here's my drawings. So again, I was there alone until after Memorial Day. And then as the producers come in, they start hiring people, and they finally hired a production designer named Steve Arnold, who was great. And and I actually worked with Steve on Mindhunter. He did Mindhunter. So I finally said, the producer said, "We picked a production designer." And I said, "Who?" And they said, "Steve Arnold." I go, "I just worked with him." So it was great because we had a rapport already. So the big thing was this Victorian house. They were like, "We need this Victorian house." So scripts aren't done yet. So my first show here, is the cast set list. So you get something like this if there's no script. The first episode was called Habeas Corpus. So there's the cast list, who's in that episode. So, there's this whole list of who's in the episode, which helps me out a little as a location manager. I can look at it and see whatever. And then they have non-speaking parts. And then, you'll see things like in non-speaking that there's a 1912 scene, there's a 1958 scene, and there's current scenes. So that kind of gives me an idea. And then, so I go down. First of all, I just go down to locations, because right now that's all I'm interested in, because this is going to take a while to get. So anything you see down here, the interiors, you'll see everything outlined in yellow, is the production designer will tell me what he plans to build.
So you don't have to find that stuff. He's gonna basically
we don't have
build
to find that stuff.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So the interiors were the Sears catalog, Fallout Shelter, Shawshank State Prison, Texas convenience store. So all this stuff is stuff I have to find.
Right.
Yeah.
And Somerville house, Molly's beat up Volvo. If there's a car, you need a street, but this is all I have to go on. So, we need a bowling alley, bar, restaurant. So I hired 2 scouts plus myself to go out and find the stuff. And that was their whole job. And my department is broken down into, there's a location manager who is kind of the big picture, looks at all the episodes. And I hired the key to be the key location manager, which is actually the location manager for all the locations in his episode. So he'll help set those up once we get them, once we find them. So I wanted that key to come in because he knew TV to help scouts. I hired some scouts. I actually had a vacation planned over Memorial Day. So they told me just hire scouts and send them out while you're away. That's fine, So, bowling alleys, we had to find a middle school, and then, you go down to the exteriors, which a lot of the exteriors are the exteriors of the interiors we're going to use, but some aren't, like a forest in 1863. We needed Castle Rock Lake, which would turn out to be a quarry, and then later on an actual lake near our Devon's studios. It just, a Texas pier. And so we're filming in Massachusetts, so you have to find a look that is Texas. So I would find all these pictures, the production designer and the scouts would find all these things. We'd put them in a little Dropbox or something, and we'd send them to the production designer, and he'd say, oh, let's go look at this. So what we're doing is we're preparing all these locations for when the director shows up, which will be coming soon, probably in June. So you might get on a show like this, what's happening now is a lot of shows they're having places to dump all the information. So with social media, they don't want scripts, like this. They don't want anyone to have a script that can be laying around and people can see.
You don't want to spoil it, right?
Yeah.
And with social media, they had Bad Robot, they would only download a script to one kind of item that you had. You can do it on your computer, or you could do it on your iPad, or wherever you wanted it. You would download it, and that's the only place it would go. So I put it on my iPad so I can read it while I was in a van and we're scouting and stuff.
Yeah.
And someone said you couldn't make it. It went to a there's a synchronized. It's a setup that they can put all the dailies that they shoot and all this stuff. So all the scripts were there. And if you tried to do it into a PDF or download it, someone told me, hey, it'll blur out. It won't.
And that's cool.
Yeah. I said the same thing. I went, you know what? That's really cool.
Right.
So I said, I'm gonna try it. So I did. And it disappeared.
Oh, wow. Oh, no.
And then I got a call from the studio.
What did you do?
They were very nice. They said, yeah, hey, we just got I guess a bell went off. I don't know what happened.
Siren?
We got a message that you tried to download our script. And I told them the story, and they laughed, and then they put me back in the system. Yeah. I just want to see it blur, but it disappeared.
Yeah. You were trying to steal it. No.
So this is not a script. So I could never get a script. I could never print out a script from Castle Rock. But when you first what you get is you get a synopsis of the story, and it's told, I wish I had one because they were extremely funny. It was like stream of consciousness. Oh, they're going to go here, and then we're going to do this. And, it's a Stephen King thing. So someone gets killed. So, and it just went on, and it was very funny. And it wasn't too helpful to me, because it didn't have locations. So then we're going to cut to him in Texas. So I said, okay, we're going to be in Texas, but it wouldn't go into specifics. So this cast set list, the producers would get what we needed, because the producers need all the departments to start working. And if we don't know what we're working on, and the first thing is finding these locations. So next, we'd get like a white production draft or a white draft. When you work on a movie or a TV show or whatever, when you get a script, it starts with white and then goes to blue, pink, yellow, green, goldenrod, buff, cherry. That's every rewrite, whether it's a line of dialogue or anything.
That's really cool.
And then as soon as white's rewritten, it goes to blue. And then as soon as they change something, it goes to pink. And I have to read every version of the script because I got to find out if they got rid of a location.
Yeah, right.
So sometimes they don't tell you. Everyone's busy. As people start coming on, so they want you to do your work. So when you get a script, even though it was on my iPad, they would show blue pages. Like it would like the pages that were changed would be a different color. So if you print it out on some shows, you know, if you can print it out, it'd be blue. But on the if you can see these little asterisks,
Yeah.
all these asterisks are the changes to this draft. So this is what changed from the last draft.
Okay.
So they'll put those asterisks on. So, you know, instead of reading the whole thing, you go look at the asterisks, you know, it's like, it's this race. Right. So we got 12 weeks to put together the first episode. So the script comes in, and the production designer is part of the art department. He's the head of the art department. Art department, it's like a marriage. Me, the production designer, when the cameraman comes in, it's him, and then when the director comes in, we're all serving the director. So they start putting this out. So you'll see exterior forest. These are called slug lines when you do exterior forest day, whatever. And when you see it on a script, all these top things are called slug lines. And so I will go through the script, and it'll say that says exterior tarot card readers, you know, late night. So I will highlight those, you know, with a highlighter, a yellow highlighter, and you know that this is I just any location I just start highlighting, and then I put it in a email to everybody and go, here's what we're looking for, you know, this is what we're going to find. And when you do a show, you first look at everything around your studio, and everything around our town was orange. So we looked around Orange because we'd be filming there, or we'd be filming at stage. So we always started there. So anyway, we would get these notes from the art department, and you can see like the greens. The greens is the department of the art department that it is what it says. They're in charge of everything, trees, grass. Cool. So we're filming at a house, and it's supposed to be the 1700s, and you know the house was built in the 1700s, but on the side is a big air conditioner unit. That right. Usually sometimes we could take that out, but it might be easier to put a bush around it, and you hide it from the camera. So greens does all that stuff. I've seen greens, like we have a shot of someone going up to a house and there's snow on the bushes, and it's a summer scene. So they would hit the snow off the bushes. So you'll see construction paint, set deck. Set deck is in charge of decorating the set. That's easy. So props, special effects, you'd see fog atmosphere. That's important for me to know. And I go down, there's like on the third one or fourth one down, it says the interior Sears catalog home. And it says filming location, stage build. That house ended up not being a build. It was a real house. And I'll show you that a little later on. But the special effects, you'll see the special effects says water seeps out from under the bathroom door. So that's a red flag to me. Like, okay, if we film it at a real house, I got to know, you know, how you're going to do that. But which brings me up, one thing I do when I scout is I go to all these places. And if you saw the show, we also filmed in a church. So I am brutally honest about what we do. And I make it even worse. I even pitch it as even worse. And if they said, yeah, come on in, then I know we're good. If there's, you know, explicit sex, if there's a scene, I hate to bring these things up, but it's TV and movies. So if there's a burning cross on a lawn, there's a murder, we're going to do a murder in your house. I've had it where when I was coming up in the ranks and I was not in charge, I had it where people came home and, you know, if they saw a swastika on their garage, they flipped out. Like, oh, that's part of our story though. And they go, no one told me that. I don't want a swastika on my out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to let them know what you're going to do.
And some people, you know, if there's a sex scene, and I go, I don't know how explicit it will be. When I went to the church, we saw a few churches and, you know, we're doing a Stephen King show. and we had a church that was kind of like a character. And I have a story about that also if we have time. And we told them, we have one episode written. It's a Stephen King show. I don't know what we're going to do in this church. I mean, in the first season, we made it snow. That was actually, we made it snow. I don't know, there was a snow scene. I don't know if you remember that.
Okay.
We made it snow. We covered that church in fake snow. But it was a Universalist church. And they were like, oh, we have zombie mass for the kids in October. And I go, yeah, but I'm just telling you. And they go, no, it's fine. And I went, okay. And they said, the only thing you can't do is stab somebody.
Out of everything, can't do that.
Interesting.
All right.
Can't do that. So anyway, so we get these, notes from what they're going to do, and people start working. So once we get a location, a lot of departments, like it's such a fast pace. The director will go, oh, I love this house. And the art department will come up to me and go, hey, we got to get in today and start painting this place.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, you won't get in today. You won't get in at all today.
Yeah.
And I have to do a contract, which is a legal document, and we'll go through that too. But so anyway, so it's just this fast pace. So once they get it, we start getting in, and then the first thing we do before even a contract is the art department will measure the whole house. So we get permission. We'll go, do you mind if they come down? It takes about a half hour. They measure everything so they could build the set, design it. So the next thing we get is an AD. An AD is assistant director, and he's in charge of putting together a schedule. So there's this memo 102 tentative outline, and you'll see like day one, I think we shot 7 days. So this is the first week of shooting. So they give you a schedule. So he'll say that, the stage is the first day, it's an AM call. Then we're at a house in the town of Lancaster, it's an AM call. Then we're in the town of Orange, that's a split call. A split call is when you have a little bit of day and a little bit of night in your schedule. So you'll be starting around noon or 11 and shooting till midnight. That would be a split call. Yeah. Everything's based on 12 hours.
Okay.
Of filming. So we'll go over that. So day two it says Lancaster. Art department might say, we're not going to be ready for that house on day two. So a lot of people describe filmmaking and making these things as a battle. It's a battle. Everything's a battle. And it's really not. It's in my department, I think it's a lot of negotiation, because a battle is us against somebody else, and we're all there to get this show done. And I deal with director, producers, grips, electrics. I'll tell you what a grip is later. Electric, art department, stunts, whatever. I deal with every department, and the flow of information of what they want to do to my location, our location, is very important. And there's a lot of conversations, phone calls back and forth. When we're on scouts, we talked in the van about how we're going to do a scene. Can we do this? An electrician is in charge of lighting and cable. A grip is in charge of, this is simplifying it, but they're in charge of shaping the light. And anything that needs to be built. So all those car mounts and stuff, the grips build that.
I've always wondered what grip means. Like when I see it in the credits.
So it's grips, they're like they build stuff. So the grips, the electrician will put up a light, but anything that goes in front of the light to block the light and shape the light, that's a grip. And like I said, anything, if there's a car mount and they're putting the camera on both sides of the car looking at the actor, and you see all those arms out, the grips put that together. Okay. They're kind of in charge of dolly. There's a dolly grip, so they push the dolly. There's grips or techno cranes. Techno cranes are telescoping cranes. So they put the camera on the end of it, and it can telescope 60 feet to 100 feet. It's this long. And
Yeah, it's
I
really
think
neat looking. Yeah.
I gave a video of it. So they're in charge of counterweighting that and all that stuff. So there's a lot of back and forth going on with the schedule. So I said, I won't have that contract done, but that's your first day, and our first day is next week, and we just found this place. So it's great when a director can pick it, but if he waits and waits, the longer he waits, we got to set up. And once we get it, all of a sudden people are panicked because they won't get it done in time. But that's a negotiation. You go to the assistant director who's in charge of scheduling and go, we got to put that at the end of the schedule. Can you do that? Or stuff like that. So anyway, there's that. And in the meantime, while this is all happening in Massachusetts, there's I think I sent you a link of our meeting with the selectmen.
Yeah, I'll put that
And
in
there
the
are select
description.
women, but it's always the selectmen meeting. I guess it's from this. It's their little city council. I guess it's from the 1700s.
Okay.
But they're in charge of the town, and I don't know if I guess they're voted. So we do a pitch to the town. We did a pitch to the town of Orange, which would be Castle Rock. And you can link to that article of everything we talked about.
Yeah.
But what's happening is my department was made up. So I had a key assistant for the odd episodes and a key assistant for the evens. They each had an assistant location manager. And then I had one assistant location manager who was dedicated only to Orange. So I had him start talking to everybody in town, all the stores, just going in, saying hi, finding out who's on our side, who hates us,
Right.
what problems we're going to have with people.
Yeah.
I mean, you always get someone who hates your guts. So the selectmen meeting, it was standing room only, so they televised it. And so I did a speech about welcoming them, and there were people there concerned about stuff. The biggest concern was the schools, because it's a very small town and there's a bridge and everyone has to come across that bridge. And I brought up that we would be closing the streets, and the people at the bus companies and stuff like that, and the people from the school, faculty and boards of the school were concerned that we would interfere with people's education. And they said, on your days of filming, we're going to not have school. And we're like, no, no, we don't want to interrupt anybody's life. And so every time we filmed in that town, we would call the bus company, and they would give us a schedule. They would say, okay, our busiest time is 7:15 to 7:45 and 2:30 to 3:15. And we, as a location department, I went to the producers, I went to the ADs, and I said, if we're filming on the road, you always have to have a lane open for emergency vehicles anyway. Mm-hmm. They go, but if you're filming on the road, we got to get buses through. We can detour around us, cars, stuff like that, but buses had to go through. And there was like Meals on Wheel buses. We let them through. People had deliveries, and they said, do you mind letting that truck through? We worked very well with the town, but this meeting, that was televised, and people had all these questions for us, and then the selectmen vote whether they want us in town. Now, we've been working for a while, so that's happening. So and then we're finding vendors and stuff like that, which I will get to soon. So the AD puts this out. It says the episode 101, which is a lot about what I'm going to be talking about.
Okay.
It's the blue one-line schedule. It came out in August, but that means we were filming already. So yes, they will put out new scripts while you're filming, and they might get rid of a location. So we will be getting to what a call sheet looks like down the road. Remember those numbers. So I'm going to go down to the first day. It says Castle Rock, episode 101. It's a blue one-line schedule from a pink production draft. I have to keep all that in mind. It says begin day one. That was our very first day of shooting for the whole show. Was Monday, July 31st, 2017. This was an estimated call, was going to be 6:30 a.m. and we shot at a quarry for this scene. So SR means sunrise, SS means sunset, and then you'll see the number 9. It says 9 exterior warden's car. 9 is the scene number of the script, and it says underneath is morning. That's not when we're filming, that's when the scene takes place. And sometimes it could be tricky. Sometimes they'll do a morning scene at dusk because it looks like morning, or they'll save it. But usually they like to do it at sunrise. You'll see a car accident, some rope and a dog, and a stunt. That's what we're doing. Day one, D1 is day one of the script. So if the script is 2 weeks in the life of this town, this is day one, or the next one down says day 5. And it says 1 page, and down below 3/8 of a page. So a script page is divided into 8s. So it's like 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5, 6. It's just little things. So how long it takes to do a scene depends on what's on the page. So if this would say 3/8, you'll go down on day 2, you'll see 3/8 of a page, 1/8 of a page. This is all in the attic. And then they kind of give the total of the pages, but it really depends. If you do a scene and all your actors are at a dinner table and the scene is 4 pages long, if it was one actor, that wouldn't take so long. But if you have 7 people at the dinner table and you have to cover them with 2 cameras, it's going to take a lot of time. On a TV show, we usually I think we did 5 to 7 pages a day of a 55-page script, I guess. So anyway, so that's 1 page. That tells me we're going to be there a little while, but it's a stunt, so we're going to be there a lot of while. Might take half a day. The numbers 12 correspond to those numbers at the top. So Warden Lacey is number 12, so he was needed. And these X100s, X110s means on this episode there are about 110 cast in it. But cast also includes stunt doubles. So the X probably means the stunt coordinator and the stunt doubles and stuff like that. And since it's a stunt, they were going to use 4 cameras, which is not normal on a normal filming day. So they'll bring up what's not normal. And then to shoot scene 100 would be next in the forest with the shallow grave. They're going to pre-rig the car for the car gag while we're doing that scene. So they give you little notes like that. So that's all telling, but that's your schedule. And then the first day is, it says end of day 1 and 3/8 pages. That's not a lot, but it's a big stunt. And everyone was kind of complaining. They're like, oh my God, we're doing this big stunt. The stunt took many days to set up, which brings me. Oh, go ahead.
I just have a question. Which stunt was that for that day?
This was the car going over the quarry.
Right, okay. So was there actually someone in there, or did they just have the car go in by itself?
There was no one in there.
Yeah. Okay.
For that one. So anyway, you get that schedule, and it'll tell you everything they want to do, and it's pretty telling to me. You mentioned a question about how long it takes to do a scene. They do come out with that one-liner. They do come out with they don't give it to everybody, but I always ask for it, and it's a timed one-liner because it'll say in each one of those strips, and we call them strips for each scene, because in the olden days it used to be a cardboard fold out, and they would have strips that would go into these. It was like a diorama, and you could move these strips. But with computers, when they were invented, they started doing it this way. So the time one-liner he'll say that will take us 6 hours.
Okay.
And what helps me is that's good to know. because you'll see in a one-liner also, like company move or push move. What a company move is we load up all of our trucks and all the equipment, everyone drives to another location. We get out of the location and we go somewhere else. We could go from the town of Orange to another town 40 minutes away to do another scene. So they will move everything. Base camp is our trailers. It's like makeup trailers, stuff like that. Work trucks are the trucks that need to be close to set.
It must take a ton of crew to get all that set up in different locations. Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll say, let's load the trucks up. We're going to go to lunch and then we're going to move. So, but if it takes 6 hours, that tells me. But all those numbers for the day will add up to 12.
Oh, okay.
Some days will add up to 14.
That's a long day.
Yeah, it's a very long day. And considering, on the day of filming, what it takes to get everyone there. So I'm putting up the shooting schedule. It's episode CR 101 shooting schedule. And this is what I love. Once we find all the locations, we go on what we call a tech scout. A tech scout is the director takes every department head. And we go in buses and minivans and stuff like that, or some people self-drive. During COVID, we all self-drive. We go to the location and the director goes over everything he's going to do in this scene, how he's going to film it, where the camera's going to go. He looks at, where he's not going to look, what he wants, how many cameras, things like that. And, we'll be there as a location department. We'll say, where aren't you looking? Where can we put our trucks? Where can we put our base camp? Where do we want this? And I get notes, or the location department, we all go. And I will stay with the camera people and the director and the AD, and we'll send someone over with the electricians and someone with the grips and someone with the transportation. Transportation wants to know, where can we put? Electric will say, hey, we want to put our generator, which I have a picture of a generator to show that. We want to put our generator over here. And if we're on a city street, if it's in someone's driveway.
There's a lot of coordinating going on. It seems like constantly.
It's constant.
Yeah.
And when you show up on the day, it could change. So the problems keep arising.
Right.
But this white one-line production schedule, this is for that day one. So if you look up, it'll say Castle Rock. This was generated July 28th. We shot July 30th, right? So, So we collect all this information from every location, and they have a production meeting, and we put all of our notes together, and the key starts going and making his deals. He knows what each location needs. So he starts going and saying, hey, we want to shoot at your place. Here's what's going to happen. But this is my Bible. I love this. And a lot of ADs, you don't get it a lot sometimes, but usually you get one, because any change, they have to change this and they just don't have time. Mm-hmm. So we want to start at 6:30, sunrise, sunset, that's fine. So I go through this. I just love it. So stunts. On the left, you'll see stunts, water safety, camera safety, car goes off a cliff. I know we have to get into the water. So I have to find a place to launch the boats that go in the water. This was a quarry. We kind of built a boat launch with gravel. We brought in gravel because it was just rocks. It was just, you couldn't, right. There was no ramp to get in. So we built a ramp. So you would have water safety. And we usually supply those, or stunts will call them, or we'll get the water safety people out there. I budget for the water safety. Animal wrangler, dog trainer. I'm telling you, animals, they get treated better than the stars of the show. So PETA is a lot. Animal wranglers are very professional. They're all professionals. They are in touch with PETA, and PETA is allowed to show up, which is the animal.
Yeah.
Safety people.
agency, I guess.
Right.
They're allowed to show up set anytime. So, the animal wrangler is going to be there. I know that the dog trainer is going to want to bring the dog a few days before we film to get them acclimated. So I'm going to call her before she calls me and say, hey, when do you want to go? And, they're going to want a place to put their dog. Their dog might come in a truck, it might come in their car, but it'll be in a cage. And they'll say we need shade. We want to be, when we film, we want to be close to set. We'll worry about everything else. We need a place for him to go, and we can have a little place like that.
Yeah.
Props doesn't concern me too much usually, unless I see gun in here. And I will ask them, are we shooting a gun? How loud are the blanks and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. Anytime you shoot guns, you have to call the cops. So we're in charge of calling the cops and all that stuff. Special effects, smoke. Just so you know, when a car goes into any body of water, it is completely stripped of everything. It's almost a hollow shell. There's no oil. If there's oil, if it's a used car, they take the engine out.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot have gas in it. You can't have anything in it. Anything that'll pollute the water. And the fire, I think it's the fire department comes out and checks. Like, let me see the car you're putting in. And special effects guys know this. This is all across the whole industry. You do not throw in a car with stuff in it. So I know there's a car thing. They have to build special effects. It's physics. They have a little setup where they have a truck or a car behind the car, and they do a little loop. They do a little cable on it from the front, and they bring it around and hook it to the car. So when the car goes, I should use another term. When they hook it to the truck that's going to drive away. When that truck drives away, it's going to pull the car over the cliff, which you have that clip. So he's going to need 50 to 60 feet to run that truck somewhere. So I got to get that special effects guy the room to do his stunt. So smoke coming from the tailpipe, he has to do fake smoke because you're not allowed a car that goes, it can't have an engine in it. Additional labor, that just tells me there's going to be a lot more cameramen and a lot more camera trucks. So I got to find a place for them to park, and they got to be close to set. Special equipment. There is a camera condor. They will tell me where they want to put the camera condor, and there's a picture of a condor that I gave you. There's going to be a platform boat. They're going to have cameras on the water. They're going to have all these boats on the water. They're going to have that techno crane. So a techno crane comes in, it's modular, so it comes in pieces. So I have to find parking for a techno crane. So if we're working in the town, they want that techno crane. They want a safe place to put it together. This was a 30-footer. So they want a safe place to put it together. So I got to find a place that's either a parking lot or on the street that we can or an alleyway. You're not allowed to block an alley, but we can go to the side, and they have room. They have to have room to go around their trailer to take all this equipment out. They put it together, and then they wheel it to set. So they want to be very close. So sometimes finding that, a place for them to do that in the city's kind of hard. And if I don't find a place, they're just going to show up and do it. So I got to find a place for them. They're going to block traffic, and I'm going to get calls.
Yeah, it's neat to hear, it's more than just finding, the actual set for a scene. It's, all the different areas that they have to, use equipment and everything. You find all that. That's really neat. Yeah.
Yeah. You find, and we'll get to the call sheet and what we have to do. We find parking. We're a service industry. We have to find everything. We have to bring everything. We have to bring everything you have at your house or your office, bathrooms, a kitchen. We have to bring our cars, trucks, whatever, all the equipment. We have to bring our own electricity. I got to find places to do that. And I'll go through that quickly, I hope.
All right. I have to run, everybody. Bye.
Yes, I'll be here for the last part.
But she's going to finish out.
Yes. But yeah, there we go.
Okay. See you.
All right.
All right. Thanks. Nice to see you. I'll be back.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
gonna interject here real quick and do the Taylor Treasure Box.
Can't forget that.
No, we can't. So, now it is time for the Taylor Treasure Box. I haven't done that in so long, I kind of forgot for a second there.
You're like, wait, how does this go?
Yeah, alright. I have a dad joke. And I have a voice impression. Okay?
Finally, I don't have to do an accent or impression or anything.
Not this month, no. Okay, mine is, say I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty in a Gru voice. Oh boy.
Oh, Gru.
Wait.
What does he even sound like?
I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
It's pretty good.
Wait, let me try it again. I want to get fully. I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended. I'm turning into someone else. Wait, I had it. Wait, let me try it one more time. I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. There.
There you
How's
go.
that? All right.
Yay.
Well, from
I didn't have
1
to
to
do
10,
that.
what did I do? How did I do?
7.
Okay, that's decent. Just honest.
Okay, you probably know all these because you put them in here, but what is the best smelling insect?
No, you put those in. Remember? I asked you.
Oh. Okay, then what's the best smelling insect?
I don't know.
A deodorant.
Okay. Alright. That was decent, I guess. I thought it was a good one. It was a good one. Okay, so there's the Taylor Treasure Box, and let's head back to the last part of the episode.
And then the next thing is greenery, cutting back a tree near a car spot. You never go anywhere and just start cutting things down.
That makes sense, yeah.
Whoever owns the, I'm not an arborist, so you got to ask permission to cut down anything. At the quarry, we could say these are dead trees. You want us to cut it down. In Hawaii, you need an arborist with you everywhere you go. If you want to tie, a stunt wants to tie around a tree, a cable around a tree, they do it with, felt underneath it. But, it's very dangerous. Some trees that look healthy are dead in Hawaii and they will fall over. So they want an arborist to come down and see if the tree is healthy enough to do what you need to do. And also in Hawaii, you can look it up. There are all over the world, there are a lot more than you think deaths by coconuts falling on your head.
I've heard that, yeah.
And it's a very big thing in Hawaii. And anytime you film in the jungle, which I filmed a lot in jungles, is you have to get someone to go to every tree and make sure something won't fall. And they still fall. I mean, some fell beside me once. And branches have fallen and like almost hit crew, but you can't get to every branch, during heavy wind. But
Right.
it's a big thing in Hawaii. But here they might say that's a dead tree. Can we cut it down, or can we pull out? And they're also in charge of like pulling out poison ivy. So we gotta make the set ready. Like for the animals at the quarry was private, but a lot of high schoolers or a lot of kids went and partied there. So around our area was tons of glass. So we had to bring in a vendor company to clean it up, especially for the dog. So the green would put down mulch or something a little bit, because anytime you raked it, you found more glass. Now, the deeper you went, it was embedded. So, but we got the top glass off. We put a layer down so the dog would not get hurt. So that stuff we all got to think about, and everyone works together to do it. But greenery, any bush. We had a house. There's a farmhouse in the first season. There was a huge bush that blocked the front of the porch, and we wanted to take it out. And we said we'd put a new bush in if you want to. And on Mine Hunters, it was one of their favorite trees, and we pulled it out and kept it in a nursery and then brought it back and replanted it. But that's the stuff that greenery does. So this I get so much out of. And a headless warden dummy to go over to the cliff. So that answers your question about was there someone in the car?
Oh yeah, okay.
So these are notes. So to clean up glass, particularly in dog sets, water safety gear, stuff like that. So yeah, we are putting things together for the show, and for just so you know, for the town of Orange, we had 55 contracts we had to do. I think I sent you some contracts that we have to do for each person. It's a legal thing. And anything you change in a contract has to go through legal.
Okay.
So we had to do a tier system, and we decided that since this town could be in 5 seasons, 3 seasons, 2 seasons, we didn't know. We made a deal that for the second season, prices could only go up a certain amount. So we put that in. I worked with the legal department on that. So on the day of filming, you get a call sheet. And this is a call sheet. On the left is director. There are all the big people and producers involved. So it'll say at the top right, it says Monday, that's shoot day 1 out of 15. So our first episode, which is usually the bigger episode, was 15 days. And then the rest, I think, got down to 10. So, but the first one, it's like a pilot. So it's bigger. It grabs your attention. It has bigger stuff in it.
Yeah.
So, it'll say rehearse, shoot. They want to be shooting by 8 a.m. They give you the weather. Rehearsal is necessary. There's pre-calls. So people have to come in. Camera props, they get a 3-minute pre-call. And a lot of these times and stuff are union based, so we know what to charge these people, and when they sign out, they all sign out and things like that. It'll go down, it'll say which cast and then their number and who's in the cast and all that stuff, just like on the one-liner. So, but what I do, down to department requirements, it says locations, all scenes pick up glass around the cliff and safety around the cliff. So we had to put barriers up for safety, which I think I have a picture of, but I think it's our winter scene. But you have to be so much from the cliff. We don't want anyone near a cliff. We have to put all these safety precautions. People who go closer than 10 feet to the cliff, they have to be hooked to a tree or a sturdy tree or a pick point that, can hold weight. That's all figured out at the very beginning. We had, the road up to the set. There was so many hanging trees that the trucks would break the branches. So we had a professional company come in and trim the trees. So it's stuff like that we do before the company comes in. And all these departments have to come to us before they, like the art department, if they want to come and paint over graffiti, they have to call us first. And this is what we want to do. We make sure we get permission. Of course, the owners would want the graffiti gone anyway. So all these people, before they come, before the stunts rehearse, they will give us a schedule. And so on the back, you'll see everyone's name in every department. So who I look for on the production, who's first in from production. So food service, it'll say food service, and they want crew breakfast ready at 5:45 a.m. So that means the caterer is going to want to be on site probably around 2 a.m.
Wow, that is really.
So the key location assistant will come in about that time and land them, because if they block any place where Transpo wants to put their trucks, or we, beforehand, we figured out where everything went. If catering doesn't know, they will just show up and start cooking, and they'll block whatever.
Yeah.
So we have someone go in and be with them. Now, if we're there a few days, we don't have to be there that early the next day, but usually we go to a new location the next day. So they're cleaning up, they're going home to sleep. They need to be there, at 2 a.m. the next day or 3 a.m. It starts getting later. So it's a quarry, right? So it's pitch black. So we got to light up the road, and we got to light up where the trucks are going to be. So we bring in lighting equipment. We have vendors, and I sent you a vendor sheet. Those are all the vendors that locations work with. We the cops. So these are all vendors we deal with. And that's another thing when I first show up is I have a location coordinator, and they get in touch with all the vendors that we're going to be using. We have to bring barricades and postings. So postings on road and barricades that will set up, roadblocks, stuff like that. Sometimes the police will do it. Sometimes they ask us to have a traffic division or traffic safety systems do it for us. So we have to give traffic plans. We have to give, if we want to close a street or something like that. And I have some overheads of that we did in the town of Orange. So we have to deal with all that. Yeah. Cleaning services, we always clean up when we're done. We have to make it as good as we found it or better. And if we don't, no one will want us back.
Exactly.
So we clean houses, we clean up after we leave, whether we're in the woods, whatever. We don't want people's cups that they left because they had to run back to camera and they left it on the ground. Environmental consultants, any place we go to, we need to find out whether they have mold, asbestos, or lead. We cannot paint a house if there's lead in the paint of what's already there. If they're gonna brush it off or anything like that.
Definitely.
If they're pounding in the walls, they want to put it in the walls. If it's an old house, we have to find out there's asbestos behind the walls. That's all the locations. Landscaping and tree trimming. If the green department, they're usually very busy. If they can't do it, we have to call landscaping and tree trimming. Layout board, layout supplies. We're usually locations is in charge of finding a layout person, which lays cardboard on the ground and stuff like that. Lights, glow plugs, any lights, light towers. We put those, we have to light up the place so people can see. Where locations is part of reducing liability for a film company. We don't want anyone doing anything unsafe. Maps and overheads. I sent you some maps.
Yeah.
Maps always have to have, the hospital on there, the nearest hospital. We tell people how to get there. We put times on it, how long it takes. We tell them if, you're going to be traveling during traffic, keep that in mind. It takes 45 minutes to get there without traffic. Marine salvage. We had to do marine salvage in one of our barricades, got washed out in a storm and it got embedded in the sand. And it's where people swam. So we had to get a marine salvage to pull it out. We pay for all cops. We pay for all security. Once equipment's dropped off at a set, we pay for all that. That's in my budgets. Mud mitigation in Hawaii. When you came out of a site and you were on a road next to the ocean, they did not want mud going into the ocean because that's pollution. So we had to do power washing for all the cars that left. We had to power wash. Of course, we got paid people to do it, but that was our department. We do pest control. Usually it's healthy pest control stuff. It's like natural stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, like I told you, animals, like a big thing is finding beehives on locations we find. My gosh, we never kill anything, but don't ever kill good bees. There are bad bees, there are good bees.
Definitely.
The pest control will come out and tell us, and we say, we never want to kill anything. We go, can we move this, or you can smoke them out or whatever, and we try to do it. We're in charge of getting porta-johns and portable sinks, and if we're in charge of finding spaces to change cast, to change background, to house background. And if we can't find buildings, we have to bring tents, tables, and chairs. So there's not a building at a quarry. There was a house nearby that we used their yard. Their house wasn't big enough to hold anybody, but we used their yard to put up a tent and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when we're done with a location, everyone leaves. They pack up and leave. And so this is the Castle Rock Blue art department, Castle Rock, one line. This is a schedule we get. This is a great schedule from an art department person. This is a very good art director. The art director is in charge of kind of coordinating everything that the production designer needs done. Building materials, whatever he needs. Monday was our first day, the 31st, and then you see Tuesday, August 1st, Wednesday, August 2nd. So let's do those three. So yeah, we're filming in Tingsboro, Massachusetts. And then below that, you'll see prep and strike. So we're installing Castle Rock facades. We're dressing a football field at another location. We had the Castle Rock School. We're painting church steps. I need people at all these locations.
Yeah.
So while we're filming, I have if they're prepping, that key location manager or his assistant, once we get filming going, he might go and check in on all these other locations that are prepping.
Hmm.
So he has someone stopping at the church, and they all want to get in at 7 a.m. So all these people, we have to be there. We have to open doors for them. Sometimes we put a lockbox, but we're in charge of this location, and people trust us with some of these locations. I mean, some locations I've gotten keys to diamond stores or jewelry stores. And they're like, are you sure? And they go, as long as you have a guard in here at all times when you open the door, I'm fine with it. And, they trusted us with their
That is
store.
a lot of trust. Yeah.
Yeah. And they, and some will say, well, you break anything or anything stolen, you pay for it, right? And we're like, yeah, I guess it's true because we have insurance.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Another thing I want to tell you is about insurance. Like if anybody ever comes to your house to film there, always get a certificate of insurance, but a certificate of insurance, it's multi-million-dollar coverage. And so they were prepping stage also. So stage is a whole other deal. I don't deal with stage, but I do deal with bathrooms there that they need and stuff like that when we're filming there. And I put a guard there so no one gets into the stage and all that. Yeah. And then Tuesday, we're striking the quarry. So I need on Tuesday someone to be at the quarry, someone to be at the church, someone to be at the football field. And then they're going to do driving shots in Lancaster. So I got to put someone in charge of those driving shots. Wow. I have started already scouting for the next episode. So I will be in a van doing everything I told you we just did in these 12 weeks. We have to do in about 7 or 8 days.
Wow.
So we established a quarry. We established a house. So every time we go back to the house, we take all the equipment away. We have to make a deal again with everybody. And but it's easy. It's, hey, we're coming back. We're going to be here these days. The house is set up. If it's a Christmas scene, they'll put Christmas things out, they'll do prep, but we'll just keep the neighbors informed of when we're coming to prep again. And then they get paid every time we film, unless we use their property for prep. Like, hey, we need transpo. We'll say, hey, we got some cars coming up. Can we put them in someone's driveway just to keep them there until we shoot tomorrow or whatever? So, and then it gets more complicated on Wednesday the 2nd. We're striking the quarry still. And then we're striking the driving shots somewhere else. We're still at the football field. And then we're rigging the bowling alley.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. So the bowling alley, actually, they did build. But that could be a location. So you could be, that keeps going for 7 months.
Wow.
So that kind of pace where you're going back and forth. So this is a good art director. This helps me a lot, and I know where to put people and things like that. Okay. And it's hard to do, but like the electricians, they will come 2 days usually before. They will give me their prep schedule, and they'll say, it's going to take 3 days to prep the town for the night shot, or 4 days. So we're going to come in and they usually give me a run for their cables, and they'll say, we're going to have 3 generators. Could be around the town anywhere. And we're going to have cables. We want to cable through this store. So we have to do a deal with that store. They might cable through through an alleyway, and they put the cables through grass. And if they don't tell me they're doing that, we find needles, drug needles, glass. We like to clean that up for the electric department before they come. So usually they give me the path where they're going to go. And they go, yeah, we're going to go in the woods, and we're going to go down, and our generator is going to be on the opposite side of the woods. So we're going to cable through the woods. We're going to make sure, it's clean, and they have a path that's clean.
Yeah,
and
safe. Yeah.
Safe. Yeah, there are so many stories to this. For Green's department, it was in the middle of filming. We were into it about a month. The town of Devens came to me and said, oh, by the way, we need you to sign this before you film anymore. And I said, well, we're filming in about 4. I think we're filming the scene where the sheriff, one of the police officers, he was in the snow and he opens a trunk. It was a short scene, but we're filming it soon. They go, well, you can't film it unless you sign this. And I said, what is it? It's a legal document. And they said, well, this used to be an army base, and they used to do bombing practices. So if you blow up, if you find a bomb and it blows up, we're not liable for you. And I went, what?
Whoa.
Are you kidding me? And they went, no, so don't dig. And I go, I have a crew. And they go, yeah, can't film. And I had to bring in the producers, and they go, what? And no one dug, and we did the scene. And because the scene was on a street, there was woods off the way. Yeah. But everywhere we went, we had a metal detector guy go through and see if there was any metal that could have been a bomb, could have been a Coke can too, but I had to pay for a metal detector guy.
That's to make sure stressful.
Our crew was like, yeah. I mean, every day going to work, I said, please don't hear an explosion. Please don't hear an explosion.
No one blow up, please.
No one blow up. And then when we're done striking anything, we have to get a release, that they're happy. They can't come back in a month and go, oh wait, my foundation's cracked, we think it was you. And it's like, well, it was. And I have the orange wrap notes, which you also have digitally. Yeah. But in that main house we went in, we'll do things like tear down a wall. As long as it's not a load-bearing wall, you can tear down a wall. We'll put it back up when we're done. So some people love it because it opens up the house. Right. So they say, oh, you don't have to put a wall back, which is great. They don't, sometimes they keep things we've done. Like, we like that you painted it, purple. Can we keep it purple? Sure. You can keep it purple. We don't have to. We'll paint it if they like it. We paint it well so it lasts. And then we have to replace anything broken. We just make sure it's all done. And I sent you the farmhouse we filmed at. I sent you a picture of a yard with all these tire tracks in it.
Right.
Which.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't put a location person there. They just brought the trucks in close to the house so they wouldn't have to carry it to the road or to the driveway. They just drove over the lawn. So we fix a lot of sprinkler heads and sprinkler systems if people don't listen to us. And for that house, we gave them money to reseed when spring came. So that was our deal with him. So we had to make a deal to put his grass in. And then at the very end, we get, that released. But all this starts again. We might get a script 3 days away from filming an episode. So I'm still dealing with the episode, but have to put out my scouts for the next episode, except they only get 4 days before the director comes in. Mm-hmm. But like I said, once you keep scouting, you start having this library, and they go, hey, they need a house. And you asked me if there's locations I hate getting. And offices, I hate offices. I hate
really?
I hate offices. They should build an office. They're all the same. I mean, it's a square box with either cubicles, and they might. I mean, for the first the scene where it's a flashback with a guy in the cage. He's actually another person in an alternate universe. He goes into an office. We actually built that office in an office lobby. They made their employees come in another entrance while we filmed, but we built this conference room. We couldn't find a nice conference room, or you want a conference room on a lower floor. You don't want to go up to floor 32 to bring all that equipment up. It takes a while. So sometimes you do. Sometimes you find it on 32nd and the director likes it. But we filmed it in a lobby. Yeah.
So do you not like getting offices just because it's kind of boring to just find an office? Or
yeah, and you're going in. I mean, we want a lawyer's office. Well, a lawyer's office, they're working.
Well, yeah, right.
It's like when we find a courtroom. It's the courtroom. We have to film on holidays because or a judge is on vacation. I've done that before. This judge is on vacation, so he's not taking anything for these couple of days. So if you want to use the courthouse, And but one thing you don't do as a location person is even offices is, and a lot of people do this and they get dirty looks from like the producers and the director, is they'll go, oh, the only thing we have left is woods. That's easy. We'll just get any woods. And everyone looks at them like, no,
It's
what
not that
kind
easy.
of woods do you want? Do you want an old growth forest? Do you want
Right.
pine trees? Do you want trails in it? Do you want wide spaces? Do you want are they chopping through it?
Yeah.
It's not just woods. You got to find that stuff out.
Right.
I hope I was clear. There's a lot of things that go into it, and there's a lot more I can go over.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate this. It's so fun to have you on because it's like you get to learn so many things that viewers of shows don't even think about, like even happening. So it's so cool to find out all the behind the scenes things. Just
Yeah.
so much fun to hear.
And another thing, I mean, just really quick. I mean, we do. I sent you a scout letter. When we go into towns, we tell the police force that we're in town because we're knocking on doors, and we have a scout letter. So if we like a house and you're not around, we leave it there, and we give that to the police so they know we're around. And the town hall might know. I always go to the town hall because they might know. Oh, that farm is, they just sold it and it's not being sold or something, or they're out of town and they would be interested, and you can have the whole thing or something like that. So you learn. I like going to bars or like little diners for breakfast and listening to people, and they
Oh,
find out
that's
while I'm
fun.
there, and
Yeah.
everyone has something. Oh, I have this like graveyard behind me. It's an old graveyard. It's like, oh my God, really? I'll go to, I send the people out. So we do
Yeah.
that. Another thing that we do especially for Greens, besides looking for bombs, and they made us take a class actually for the bombs. They said you have to identify them. So anybody who digs more than an inch below the surface has to take this class. So our Greens guy took it, and I took it just for fun. I thought, it'd be fun. These World War One bombs. I think there was some from World War One too.
Yeah, that is
Um,
neat. Yeah.
but it was a very scary, like,
Oh
and
yeah.
we use the woods a lot already, and they're telling us this in the middle. But anytime we dig, like I think it's in the second season, we had a statue that had to fall. It was like an earthquake, and it fell down through the earth. Anytime you dig more than a foot, you do. It's like a construction site. It's called Digi. It's one call, and what they do is you call them, and they come out like fast, and they will tell you where there are gas lines, sewage lines, if there's a well underneath. They tell you cable lines. So if we dug a 6-foot hole, so if we hit a gas line, we would have been, so they
Yeah.
come and they mark it.
Oh, that's great.
So,
Yeah.
and so we have to get that done. But I didn't bring up kids. I mean, when there's a teenager on set, we are in charge of their schools. So, when I'm looking through that schedule and I see a teacher and or extra manpower as a teacher, I go, oh, are we having kids in that scene? I mean, I should know because I read the script. And I said, okay, so we got to find them a schoolroom. Because you might think, the extras, the kids hang out on set. As soon as they're off set, they go to a schoolroom and they have a lesson. They have a teacher who's a studio teacher, and they come, and she's in charge of their safety and monitoring them on set. And we have to find them a schoolroom.
Oh, that's neat. Okay.
Yeah. We have to follow all child labor laws. So it's not these wild kids running around.
Definitely. Yeah.
We get them on set. I know people think that's a wild party on the set. It is not. And what else? And OSHA, like I said, we deal with liability. OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration. Any workplace, and I think overseas they'll go too. If there is a death anywhere, OSHA will come. So if a construction worker falls off a crane at a construction site, they go. Like where was the safety breakdown? Was it mechanical? What? They come and investigate. Any crew member can call OSHA on us if they think, the producers, the director, me, if they go, hey, they're not cleaning up this asbestos, or I think there's lead in this, and they wouldn't test it. And if there's a problem, I will be blamed. And a lot of people are like, it saves money, but the studios don't. The big studios do not want me to save money when it comes to this. There's just so many things come up. There's that scene where she jumps in the water. Remember? She's
Yes,
standing
yeah,
and she just jumps in the water. We
right.
wanted a real person to jump in the water. Well, there's a dam nearby. And they said, well, underneath the water are these cages that trap things that come through the water. And the suction, it'll suck you, it'll pull you into it and you won't be able to escape.
Ooh, yeah.
So when we filmed that scene, we decided not to put anybody in the water.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea,
Um,
yeah.
and we have to test the water. We have to test the water, make sure it's healthy water. We can't put anybody in with cuts and stuff, and we get bacteria levels. But we had to hire someone from the dam to be there just in case the stuntman missed and fell into the water, and he could shut that thing off. But usually they're cabled and stuff, but the dam guy wanted to be there, and we said, okay, so we had her. So these are all things that
Yeah,
come up that we have to do. That's locations has to deal with.
right.
And
One thing I wanted to say before we go is the prison in Castle Rock. That's at the West Virginia State Penitentiary, correct?
yes,
Yeah. So it was funny because we were watching it and we're like, "This looks so familiar." Well, I actually about probably I guess a year or so ago went in to visit that jail. So it's like everything looked familiar when they were like inside, and especially like some of the jail places. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I took a tour in here." It was so cool seeing that in the
yeah.
show.
So
Yeah.
we looked in Massachusetts for some prisons, didn't work. They love West Virginia. There was a one in Toronto, I think they like too. But when they picked that, I hired people from Pittsburgh to go down and take care of that.
Yeah.
So they came down for like 2 days, but it was a big setup. It was a lot of things. And then really quick story, the alligator. There was an alligator in our show.
Yeah.
So I found a swamp that looked like Texas, maybe New Orleans more, but it had a different feel from Massachusetts. So the producers and I went and met with the alligator wrangler, who was also with the Park Service. And we're like, okay, so what would it entail? We want them to, here's what we want to do. He said, well, he goes, it'll be on a leash. It'll be kind of on a leash. But if it gets off that leash, it will go to the bottom of the swamp. You'll never see it again.
Wow.
It says they will hide. And that's
Yeah.
all the producers had to hear. So they went to New Orleans to an actual alligator farm. So we hired a location person there to find an alligator farm because they have feeding alligator farms there. There was a old zoo or a small zoo I found in Massachusetts that they didn't do alligators. So, but we called around. We looked for alligators in Massachusetts, but they decided, we're not gonna. That's all we need is an escaped alligator blamed on our production that could
That'd be horrible.
your dog or a child. No, as soon as
No,
they heard
no.
that, they said, "Thank you, goodbye."
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'll tell the story about the house, about finding the house, and I told you already. It's the first thing I found. And I was like, this is great. And I walked to the house. There was a car in the driveway and there was a motorcycle. And you never take pictures on a person's property. You can take them from the sidewalk because that's public. So I'm like looking at it. And usually people come out and go, what the heck are you looking at my house for? So I looked and I knocked on the door. No one answered. There's a car and a motorcycle. So I said, okay, I'm going to walk to the back. And maybe someone will come out, like get off my property. No one came out. So I went, so I took a picture of it and I left. And like I said, it doesn't have a house next to it. I went, dang it. It's like the perfect house. And the production designer was not there, like I said. So it was all me. I was making everything. It was like, and so I was making the decisions for the whole company,
Yeah.
which I shouldn't do. I'm always about the hierarchy. And so I said, dang it. So I wanted the house. I didn't want it to be the Munsters house. I didn't want it to be scary because the family grew up here. and I didn't want it to be the Psycho house from the 1960s movie or whatever, just Alfred Hitchcock Psycho. It's famous house. I didn't want it to be a scary house, and I loved it so much. It was on a one-way street. It was at the end of a one-way street, and the crew hated me. But anyway, so the production designer came in, and I also, he wanted two Victorian houses side by side. So we went and we took pictures of all that we could find. Sometimes it wasn't even in orange, but we looked for it. And the director, Mike Uppendahl, it was great. He did Fargo and Evil Dead. I'm not Evil Dead, Walking Dead. Does a whole bunch of stuff. He's great. And he came in, and I told you about the showrunners. He is the producer director. So they bring in a director who they are going to put in charge. He will do a few episodes, but he's in charge of that pilot. They're on TV, on network TV. The pilot director set the tone for the whole show. So once you're doing an episode, you can't prep the next episode. The director can't. So they bring in, another director, and then director of episode 1 can do 3, but he can't do 2. So they bring in guest directors, and these guest directors look to the pilot. This set their tone. This is what the look is. Or the camera angles are low or brooding or whatever they are. So they can attach it to their episode. So Mike Uppendahl came in and did that, and he was great. So he came in and he looked at all the houses. We took him out in a van. He looked at all the houses and he goes, you know what? Maybe the house can be across the street, like right across the street from each other. And so I called my scout and I said, hey, and I got the multiple listing printout of it on the realtor site. So I sent that to my scout and I said, go to this house, see if this guy is home, see if you can get in. And I said, I said, just go and see. I love this house, and I didn't get a hold of him. So she went and she got a hold of him, and he said, yeah, I'd love you to film there if you can. I said, okay, great, thanks. And so again, I don't usurp anybody. I would never go to a director and say, look at this house I found, without going to a production designer. You never do that. Production designer has his way of doing things, and you don't step on that, whether you like them or not. And then so we went out again and saw houses across from each other, and we went to lunch, and we just weren't having luck, and we needed this house. This was the big, it's a big location. It's kind of a character.
This is the Deaver house?
Yes, the Deaver. Okay. The one on the hill.
Right.
So at the table, I had my computer with me. At the lunch table, the director was talking, and he was talking. I was at the table with him and the production designer. And the production designer wasn't having a good day because we weren't finding anything. And the director went, you know what? Oh, we went out to one more house, and the director went, you know what? The house doesn't even need to be across the street. It could be down the street. And I called my scout and I go, there's a house like half a block down. It's the nearest house to that Victorian. I go in and see if they'd be interested in filming right away. Just go. And she was up looking around, and she goes, okay, I'll go over. And they said yes. And so I pulled the production designer aside and I opened my computer. I said, remember this house that didn't have a house beside it or anything? And I think he was a little panicked. I'm not sure, but he was like, yeah, let's show that to him. I went, okay. So we went, and they just walked around, and they walked around, and they walked around for like 20 minutes, which is a very good sign. Because usually they go, nah, don't like it, or whatever. And he went, and there, actually, you never see it. There is also a house, if you're looking out the front door, it kind of looks over the town, has a high view. If you look out the door to the right, there's another house. We didn't want to see that house, not because of the people, not because we didn't like the house. We just wanted it to look like it's a lone house, and down the street is another house. I think in some shots you see the corner of it, but so he goes, "This is great." And he goes, "If that house down the street, half a block away," he goes, "if we can get that house, I think this would work." And I go, "Well, they're interested if we want to do that." And so they picked it. And what's funny is the production designer and the director didn't have an argument, but the production designer goes by the scripts that the creators made. He goes, "Well, the creators wanted it this way." And the director basically said, "But this is why I'm hired, because maybe there's another way." And
Right.
he goes, I like that, they're looking at each other's binoculars. I like that. I like the process of listening to these people. So he was like, I like that it might be a little obstacle for them to meet, or to communicate. And so,
Right.
that's how they picked that house.
Oh, that's such a cool story. Yeah.
Yeah. And just about that house, like I said, it's if you get into locations, anybody wants to do locations or scout for anything, and just you go with your instinct. But the production designer saw it already and dismissed it and said, "No, it doesn't have all these elements." But I kept on it, just I liked it so much, and it was my first day in town. That's the house I saw.
It is this, like, it really stands out. It's such a beautiful house in the show.
And like I said, the crew hates me because it's on a hill like this.
Right.
And all the trucks had to be down the way, or maybe in the driveway. But if we're looking out of the front door, and you can tell, and you have the picture of it built also on set.
Yeah.
But directors, like, if someone walks out a door, he likes following them, and you're seeing the real thing. So we went there a lot more than producers wanted to go. But if it was inside, they shot on stage.
Yeah.
But it was a perfect model of the house. The first episode we shot all in the house, by the way.
Oh, okay.
They don't have it built yet. The first episode establishes everything, and then we recreate it at the stage.
So after that episode, any indoor scenes of the house, that's at a stage?
Most likely.
Okay. All right.
Some not. Depends what the director wanted to do.
Okay.
Because when they're looking out windows, they're looking at they call it a translite, a big shower curtain with painting on it. So the backyard, like, it didn't have a garden, so her garden we made. All that stuff we made. They didn't. We did all that. So if she was looking at someone working in the garden, they would shoot at the house.
Oh, that's so neat. Yeah.
You could see through the window.
Right.
If he was in the woods or something, they wanted woods behind it too. It had everything. It was I loved it.
Right.
And I was so excited when I saw it. But yeah, so that's this episode.
All right. Yeah.
A special 2-hour episode. Special 4-hour episode. It's longer than the series itself.
No, this is perfect. Honestly, I had so much fun just learning all of this. Like, just can't get enough. I love all the behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And we will definitely have you back on because this is a lot of fun.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Right. Well, thank you. It was fun.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And it's still early. I have a whole day.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Sorry. Hopefully you'll get to your cats. So.
No, I will. It's cool.
Okay.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right, thank you so much to Joe for coming on. It was so much fun. Yes,
so much fun. Sorry, I had to leave.
Yeah, I know.
I heard the rest of it was good.
Yes,
and I can't wait to hear about it.
Right. She did have to do something,
but it was fun.
It was fun, and we learned so much. And we can't wait till he comes back on because he wants to. Because he said there's so much information that he wants to share that he just couldn't in one episode. But that is the end of the episode. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like and comment and share us with your friends and family. And if you're on Anchor, make sure to just watch us and comment. And if you're not following us on Anchor, you can do that. It's in the link below in our description. Follow us there. And you can also follow us on Instagram, which is @TaylorTreasuresOfficial, and TikTok, which is @TaylorTreasures. Stuff that you won't see here.
Lots of good content.
Yes.
Content. You will be content watching the content. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Okay, and so we will see you next for the Saturday sketch show. Finally getting back to that, guys.
Finally.
Yes, and then next month again for this show. And we will see you then. Hope you have a great Thursday. Bye!